Happy birthday, Robert. Here we are up in Kamloops, a little bit of, well, sweet snow on the ground, thinking of you on this amazing day. And it did occur to me that I have known you longer than any other living human being. I mean, wow. So I counted them up. It is 25,567 days that I have known you, my dear brother. I was thinking about kind of our life together and who you were, and I'm going to talk about some memories I have of you, particularly when you were younger, because I think most people will know you from a later time. And I remember your curiosity and kind of your challenging projects and always up to something. And these are a few that came to mind. Might not be totally accurate, but this is what came to mind. So I do remember you taking on this project of burning leaves in the backfield, probably with Tom Pagenstacker and maybe some other neighborhood guys and maybe some cans of petrol. I don't know, but I remember that. Then you were an amazing Boy Scout. And I think maybe, is that where you learned to do the potato cannon thing? Maybe. And then I was the brownie gal, but you took on making the world's best pie crust and consequently the best pies, which was just such a treat. I was in awe. Then there was the summer, I think you and Doug Cooley tried to restore some little sports car that was real cute, but I didn't ever see it move, which was interesting. Probably the glitziest was when you brought all those talented musicians into our home and you formed the Baja Brass. I think with Ross Klein and Tim somebody, and you guys were playing weddings, you were doing garden parties, birthday parties, you cut an album. I mean, Herb Alpert, move over. You were just fabulous. And then you took up photography, and of course, being kind of self-centered, I asked you to take pictures of me as a model on the rocks and in the fields of the ranch. Thank you. I kind of probably twisted your arm, and I think that was my last model shoot and only model shoot. And you moved on to firemen and natural scenes, but thanks for the effort. And then, of course, kayaking, sailing, mountain climbing, rock climbing, skiing, tennis. Just these amazing activities that you always embraced with such energy. And then, of course, came maybe your first date or maybe your second date with lovely Denise, where you took her out snow cave camping and she stayed with you. Now that's kind of interesting. So on that note, to celebrate you and your personal early accomplishments, I pass it on to Jack.
Well, Robert, let's start with your astrological sign, Capricorn. Now, of the many characteristics of Capricorn, one of the strengths is self-control. But one of the weaknesses is a tendency to expect the worst. Well, I would say that given the calamities of the virus and the Trump era, you probably have every reason to expect the worst, but not to worry, because I think we all feel that Joe and Kamala will bring us back, and we will start building bridges rather than walls. So let's move on. So what kind of historical things happened worldwide on December the 30th? Well, in 1766, George Washington crossed the Delaware, put the Brits on the run. And in 1756, Halley's Comet was discovered. In 1642, Sir Isaac Newton was born. And in a more current age of modern people, Patti Smith, the singer, was born on December the 30th. And Sybil Shepherd was actually born not only on December the 30th, but on the very year that you were born as well, 1950. And in Portland, Oregon on this day, the last streetcar line was closed. I don't think you had anything to do with that, but it happened when you braved the planet. So let's move on. So what did things cost on the day you were born, Robert? Well, here's a few examples. Gas was 20 cents a gallon. Bread was 14 cents a loaf. Stamps were 3 cents each. And you could buy a pop or a chocolate bar for a nickel. Wow. Now, what about other events in 1950? Well, in 1950, Cinderella, the Disney movie Cinderella, first appeared in movie theaters. The cartoons, Dennis the Menace and Peanuts were created. Silly Putty was invented. And many don't know this. I sound like Trump now. James Dean made his first career performance for a commercial for Pepsi Cola. How about that? Well, Robert, now that you're 70 years old, you must know everything. So since you know everything, here's a question for you. Who was the President of the United States when you were born? Now, I'm sure you know the answer to that, but this next question might be more difficult. But if you can answer the next question, I will personally give you a bonus. And the question is this: who was the Prime Minister of Canada on the day you were born? I'm sure you know the answer to that.
And before we toast to you, I did want to share a moment where I learned so much from you and in some ways changed who I was both personally and professionally. So the setting is, I'm in Paris. I'm studying French literature with Smith College, and the Smithies that I was going to school with were so impossibly snooty, I just could hardly stand it. And they would ask where I was from, and I would say Oregon, and they had no idea where that was. And after a while, I just gave up. I was fed up, and I said California. Oxy was in California. It was just easier. And you told me how you strolled into the Harvard cafeteria, cowboy hat to cowboy boots, lasso in hand, sign around your neck, I will give $10 to anyone who knows the capital of the state of Oregon. And that is such a delightful story. You're kind of poking fun, you're also being inclusive, and also creating a learning moment. And that really affected me, and how instead of being kind of cranky, I could be more inclusive in my life and not so judgmental. And in fact, of course, I went on to teach team building and all of that. So on that note, we would like to toast to you. Happy 70th.
Happy 70th, Robert. And you should know this. Know this. When we get together with you and Denise, it's always happy to meet, sorry to part, and happy to meet again. Happy birthday.
Cheers.